In the idyllic landscape of the Thuringian Slate Mountains in the heart of the Thuringian forest lies the small town of Lauscha, which is considered the cradle of glass Christmas tree decorations. Glassblowers have dedicated themselves to the art of glassmaking here for centuries. The history of Lauscha began around 1597, when the first glassworks fired up their furnaces. The rich deposits of quartz sand and wood for firing the furnaces created ideal conditions for the development of a glass-blowing tradition that continues to this day. The artistry of Lauscha's glassblowers is a dance of precision and skill, where molten glass made from silica sand, soda and lime is transformed into delicate shapes.
I'm Falk. I'm a master glassblower by trade and have been practicing this profession for over 40 years. My specialty is making glass insects such as beetles, grasshoppers and praying mantises. 4 new beetles are added to my production every year, and there are now 114 different ones. I originally trained as a glassware maker. This is very useful to me nowadays because you learn to work very precisely and delicately. We work with hot glass, which has a processing temperature of around 900 degrees. At this temperature range, it has a consistency comparable to liquid honey. For this reason, it is very difficult to produce the finest details in the glass. However, my aim is to make it as lifelike as possible. I have worked in many countries and I'm also represented in some museums. But that's not my main focus. Actually, I don't want to be an artist, but a craftsman. That's important to me. I combine the artistic, which means the design of glass, with the perfection of craftsmanship. And I want to keep doing that until I stop at some point. There is a saying on my shelf that I was given by a friend when I started my own business, and it sums it up perfectly. This business doesn't make any money, but it's fun. That's not entirely true, of course. You can't make a fortune from it, but you can make a good living, and that's the most important thing.
I am Katrin. I started learning the profession 5 years ago as a career changer. At that time, I thought I'd have someone show me how to make the article, and then I'd practice twice or maybe even 3 times, and then I'd be able to do it. But it's much harder than I thought.
There are different versions of the origin of the Christmas bauble. The one I know is as follows. In the past, nuts, apples and the like were hung on the Christmas tree, which were very expensive in winter. However, as glassblowers were relatively poor in those days, they could not afford to hang decorations on their Christmas trees. Out of this poverty, some glassblower came up with the idea of recreating these fruits. The obvious thing to do was to make them out of glass, and so imitations of apples or nuts were made and hung on the Christmas tree. This marked the birth of Christmas tree decorations. Things are actually looking bad for the next generation of glassblowers, it has to be said. Although a few glassblowers are trained here at the glass school in Lauscha every year, it is extremely difficult to assert oneself on the market. It takes many years, if not decades, to achieve the perfection that a glassblower needs. It is therefore very difficult to keep going for the first few years. To be honest, we glassblowers are a dying trade, unless some miracle happens. We can only hope that in the next few years the appreciation of the craft in general will rise again. But that I don't just mean glassblowing, but also other crafts. But I fear that it will only increase again when it is already too late and all the old masters have stopped. Then there will be no one left to train and a huge amount of knowledge will be lost. Here in Lauscha, the craft of glassblowing has a tradition of over 400 years, so of course we are proud to be a small part of it. We last glassblowers keep Lauscha known worldwide. As long as there are glassblowers, it will stay that way. Glassblowers who produce good quality products.
According to Falk, we were the last film crew allowed to record him. He agreed to do this because he believes that people in the USA are very interested in the traditional craft and do a lot to preserve it. Falk plans to give courses on his art in the USA in the future. We wish him every success.